He tripped over my foot, and I almost laughed, except the smirk on his face made me want to scream. Some people really should be banned from being handsome. I barely noticed the drizzle on my shoulders as I pushed open the glass door of the tiny cafe on the corner of Maple Street. The bell chimed, announcing my entrance, but I didn't hear it over the pounding in my chest. Maybe it was caffeine withdrawal. Maybe it was the sight of him, standing behind the counter with that infuriatingly easy grin. Alex, my alpha, the one I was never supposed to care about. I wasn't supposed to care about anyone. Omegas like me didn't get that luxury. I was a substitute, a placeholder for the real thing, trained to be quiet, obedient, and unseen. And yet, every time Alex leaned over to pass a cup of coffee, brushing against me in the tiniest way, I felt my whole world shift. Heat rose to my cheeks, betraying a flutter in my chest I didn't have the right to feel. "You're late," he said, and it wasn't just a casual remark. His voice carried that subtle power Omegas learned to fear, the kind that could make you bend without a word. My pulse quickened not from fear, but from something far more dangerous. "I had a test," I muttered, hoping the excuse sounded plausible. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted the strap of my bag. Every gesture felt loud in his presence, as if he could hear my heartbeat echoing through the cafe. Alex tilted his head, blue eyes narrowing just enough to make me nervous. "A test, huh? Or were you just avoiding me?" His grin widened, teasing and impossibly confident. I wanted to say something sharp, something clever, but my words caught in my throat. It wasn't just Alex's alpha orate, was him, the real person behind it. He didn't need to dominate to command attention. He simply did. The cafe was small, cozy, almost inviting, but I couldn't enjoy it. Not with him there, moving with effortless grace behind the counter. I watched the way his hands worked, pouring coffee, handling pastries, brushing his hair from his forehead. Each motion seemed mundane, but with him it felt electric, dangerous, and maddeningly intimate. I took my usual seat by the window, keeping my eyes deliberately averted. But of course I failed. Alex leaned over, setting a steaming cup of coffee in front of me. "Thought you might need this," he said, his voice softening for a fraction of a second. That tiny shift, that almost silence of tenderness, made my chest ache. I swallowed hard, trying to maintain composure. "Thanks," I whispered. My voice sounded foreign to me, breathless and uneven. He didn't comment, just straightened, and for a moment, I allowed myself to imagine what it would feel like if he leaned closer. Closer than anyone had a right to. I knew the rules. Omegas like me weren't supposed to imagine these things about alphas. They were dangerous. They were untouchable. And yet, the air between us crackled with a tension that wasn't fear, it was something more. Intimate, more urgent. The day passed in a blur. Classes, paperwork, the usual drone of life. But Alex lingered in my thoughts, even when I didn't want him to. His presence was a constant, a quiet ache in my chest, a melody I couldn't stop humming. By the time I returned to the cafe that evening, the sky was bruised purple with the promise of rain. "You're back early?" Alex remarked, eyes sparkling with mischief as he leaned against the counter. His proximity made the air between us heavier, warmer, charged. My heart thumped erratically. "Couldn't stay away, huh?" I opened my mouth, intending some clever retort, but the words failed me again. Instead, I met his gaze, and in that instant the world narrowed to just the two of us. My body betrayed me, heat rising in my chest, and I realized with a jolt that I wanted him to see me, to hold me, to cross the line I had sworn never to approach. Alex smiled knowingly, as if he could read the turmoil in my thoughts. "You're thinking too much," he said softly, yet there was a rough edge in his tone, a warning wrapped in warmth, and somehow I didn't care. I wanted him, and I couldn't hide it anymore. The cafe emptied slowly, leaving us alone in the fading light. The rain outside painted streaks on the window, reflecting neon signs that shimmered in distorted colors. Alex leaned closer, the scent of his cologne, a mix of cedar and something uniquely him, filling my senses. My breath hitched, every nerve ending alive with anticipation. "I don't care if this is against the rules," I admitted, voice trembling slightly. I can't stay away from you anymore." He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he closed the distance, just enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. My Omega instincts flared, a confusing mix of longing and fear, desire and vulnerability. "You shouldn't have said that," Alex murmured, low and teasing, though his eyes softened. "You're making it very hard for me to stay professional." Before I could process his words, his hand brushed mine, deliberately, yet lightly enough to ignite a fire I couldn't contain. I swallowed, heart hammering, body trembling with need and hesitation. He noticed, of course alphas always noticed, and for the first time I realized he didn't intend to stop noticing. "I've wanted this," he confessed, voice rough with honesty and emotion. "Not because you're a substitute or because it's convenient. I've wanted you for a long time." The confession hit me like a thunderclap. My knees nearly buckled. Alex's gaze softened, warming like sunlight through a storm. He reached out, gently brushing a lock of hair from my face, his thumb lingering against my cheek. I closed my eyes, leaning into the touch, feeling a connection that was both forbidden and inevitable. The line between duty and desire blurred, leaving only this electric, intimate moment. And I knew then that my life had changed. For the first time, being a substitute didn't feel like a punishment. It felt like the prelude to something real, something dangerous, something beautiful. The cafe seemed to shrink around us, the rain outside fading into a soft background hum. For the first time, the rules of the world, the ones that dictated Omegas like me should never feel desire, that alphas were untouchable, felt irrelevant. Alex's hand lingered near mine, and I didn't pull away. Not that I could. My instincts, my heart, and something deeper, something human, were all screaming to surrender. "I don't care about anyone else right now," he said quietly, almost to himself. Then louder, I want you." The honesty in his voice, the rawness of it, sent a shiver down my spine. I had imagined these words countless times in lonely nights, dreaming about an alpha who might care for Menet as a substitute, not as a placeholder, but as someone who truly saw me. And here he was, standing inches away, offering exactly that. I couldn't help the small laugh that escaped me, mingled with a sigh. I've been waiting for this too," I admitted, though my voice shook. "Waiting for someone who looks at me like I matter." Alex smiled, a slow, knowing smile, and then leaned forward. His forehead rested against mine, close enough that I could feel his warm breath. Every instinct in my body screamed, "Yes, yes, yes," and I obeyed. We stayed like that for a moment, breathing together, letting the world outside fade. And then, almost instinctively, our lips met. The kiss was gentle at first, exploratory, but it carried the weight of months' no, years-off unspoken longing and stolen glances. I felt the world tilt, our surroundings dissolving until there was only him, only us. When we finally pulled apart, the air between us hummed with a new intimacy. Alex's hands cupped my face, thumbs brushing against my cheeks. "You don't know how long I've wanted this," he confessed, voice husky. "I've been patient, but I don't want to be patient anymore." I leaned into his touch, letting the warmth of his hands sink into my skin. "I don't want patience either," I whispered, a laugh breaking through the tension. "I want now. I want you." The cafe door rattled, reminding us of the outside world. But we ignored it. We were beyond rules, beyond judgment. In that moment, the Omegaverse harsh boundaries didn't matter. All that mattered was this fragile, dangerous, exhilarating bond we were building. Over the next few days, the tension between us evolved into something neither of us could deny. Every touch, every glance carried a charge that left me breathless. Alex would brush against me in passing, his hand lightly grazing mine, and my pulse would spike. And yet, there was tenderness to a gentle understanding that we were stepping into something deeper than desire. One evening, he invited me to his apartment. It was a modest place, warm and lived in, with sunlight spilling through the windows. The first time I stepped inside, I felt a strange sense of peace. This was his world, his personal space, and he was letting me in. We sat on the couch, shoulders brushing, sharing stories we had never told anyone. I learned about his childhood, his dreams, the pressures of being an alpha in a world that often demanded perfection. And he learned about Menet, the Omega substitute everyone saw. But me, the one who craved connection, who feared rejection yet longed for love. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the room in golden hues, Alex reached for my hand. His fingers intertwined with mine, tight but gentle. "I don't want this to end," he said softly. "It won't," I promised, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through me. "We'll figure it out. Together." Days turned into weeks, and our relationship deepened. Public spaces were still complicated, filled with whispers and stares, but we found our sanctuaries. The cafe after hours, late-night walks under rain-slicked streets, quiet nights in Alex's apartment. Every moment together was stolen, intimate, and utterly ours. One night, as we lay on the couch, bodies tangled and hearts beating in sync, Alex traced my face with his fingers. "Do you ever think about how we started?" he murmured. "About how I wasn't supposed to notice you, how you were never supposed to feel like this." I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. "All the time. Scared me. But now, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." He smiled, pressing his forehead to mine. "I'm not going anywhere. No matter what the world says, or what the rules dictate, I want you." And in that moment, I realized I felt the same. No longer a substitute, no longer a placeholder. I was wanted. I was seen. And more than anything, I was loved. Our bond strengthened further as we faced external challenges. Some alphas scorned me, some omegas envied me, but Alex never wavered. He stood by me, protective yet gentle, fierce yet tender. Every challenge we faced together only deepened our connection, cementing a trust one had never thought possible. One rainy afternoon, Alex brought me back to the cafe where it all started. The air was heavy with nostalgia, the smell of coffee and rain mixing in a familiar comfort. He reached out, taking my hand in his. "Do you remember the first time you came here?" he asked, eyes soft but serious. I smiled, heart swelling. "I remember tripping over your foot." He laughed, a rich, genuine sound, and pulled me closer. And I remember thinking I'd never seen anyone so infuriatingly perfect for me. The confession made me laugh too, but this time it was light, free of tension. We held each other, and the city around us faded into insignificance. Nothing mattered except the warmth between us, the love we had nurtured against all odds. Eventually, we moved in together. Alex's apartment became our home, filled with laughter, quiet moments, and the occasional passionate quarrel that ended in tender reconciliation. Every day, I woke up beside him and felt a surge of gratitude that I had never expected to feel. For the first time, I didn't feel like a substitute. I felt whole. One evening, as we watched the sunset from our small balcony, Alex rested his head on my shoulder. "You know," he murmured, "I never believed I could find someone who completes me like this. But here you are." I leaned into him, letting his warmth seep into me. "And I never believed I could be more than a substitute. But here I am, with you." The city lights flickered on below us, painting the streets in a golden glow. The air was cool but comforting, carrying the scent of rain and possibility. And in that moment, I realized that real love wasn't about roles, rules, or expectations. It was about connection, trust, and choosing each other every single day. Alex lifted his head, looking into my eyes with a vulnerability I had rarely seen. "Promise me something?" he asked. "Anything. No matter what happens. No matter what the world throws at us. We stay like this. Together." I pressed a gentle kiss to his lips, tasting the sweetness of our journey and the promise of countless tomorrows. "I promise," I whispered. From that day on, we navigated the complexities of the Omegaverse hand in hand, facing prejudice, challenges, and moments of doubt with unwavering trust. Each day was a testament to our resilience, our love, and our refusal to let the world dictate our happiness. Years later, sitting together in our cozy apartment with soft rain tapping against the windows, I realized how far we had come. The Omega who once felt like a substitute had found a place not just in Alex's heart, but in a life filled with love, laughter, and belonging. We had survived the cruel rules of the world, the judgments, and the fear, and in the end, we had built something extraordinary, a love that was fiercely intimate, profoundly tender, and undeniably ours. As Alex's hand found mine once more, and we leaned into each other on the couch, I knew one truth above all else. True love didn't care about labels, roles, or expectations. It simply existed, burning bright and eternal, in the hearts of those brave enough to embrace it. And so, in a world that had once treated me as a mere substitute, I became something far more powerful. Loved, seen, complete. Alex smiled at me, eyes reflecting the golden glow of the setting sun. "You're my home," he said softly. "And you're mine?" I replied, pressing my forehead to his, letting the warmth of our bond fill every corner of my being. The rain outside had stopped, leaving the streets shimmering in reflected light. But inside, the warmth between us was endless, unshakable, and real. And in that world, harsh as it might be, we had found our sanctuary, each other. No more substitutes, no more placeholders, just love. Fierce, gentle, and everlasting. We were together, truly, irrevocably, and wonderfully together. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.